Is the Samsung Galaxy A52 4G model worth buying in 2022? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy A52. Now, not to be confused with the A52 5G, that phone is a slightly different device, and I have done a dedicated video, or a series of videos for that matter, here on the channel about that phone, but this phone, the A52, is 4G only. It is actually not officially sold in the US, so if you were from a country where the A52 4G is being sold, that's likely why you were watching this video. But again, to clarify, you will not find this specific phone sold at any carrier stores or really anywhere in the US outside of Amazon and eBay. And I will be linking to that in the video description. Now, with all that out of the way, just wanted to clarify that so that there's no potential confusion. With the Samsung Galaxy A52, we're getting a very large and good looking 6.5-inch display. Now, even better, this display features Corning Gorilla Glass 5. So it's also very durable. Now, the display itself features Super AMOLED technology. It is a 90 Hz display, so the refresh rate is a bit faster than what you'd find with a 60 Hz display, which is essentially what we get with pretty much any budget or lower end smartphone. The display is 1080p, so things are nice and crisp and clear here. We're getting a PPI of 407, a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, pretty consistent with most modern smartphones being released nowadays. And we're getting an 84.6% screen-to-body ratio, so pretty small bezels overall. Now, there are multiple benefits with having a Super AMOLED display. The first benefit is that we're getting very bright, vibrant colors. You can see as well, things are very crisp here, which is in part due to it being a 1080p display, but also with it being Super AMOLED, we're getting very good viewing angles as well. So in general, this display really does give this phone a premium feel, despite it being a mid-range device. Because compared to the S series, for example, this phone is a lot more affordable. Now up top here, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, which is 32 megapixels. Another thing I want to point out as well is how small that hole punch for the camera is. So in general, I think Samsung did a great job with the whole front display panel of this phone. Now with the Samsung Galaxy A52 4G, at least with this version of the phone, we're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and you can expand that via microSD card expansion. So if you find yourself especially having a lot of photos and videos on your internal storage and you want to offload that in order to free up some space, then having a microSD card certainly will come in handy. Now with this device, there is no wireless charging, which is a bit of a disappointment, but the phone does feature an in-display fingerprint sensor. So we'll give that a try right now. And it's decently fast and responsive. So it does get the job done. I have seen other devices that this competes against, putting the fingerprint sensor on the power button instead, and sometimes that is a bit more responsive. But on the other hand, I do appreciate that they incorporated this technology into this mid-range device, and in general, it does work well. Another awesome thing as well with the Galaxy A52 is that we do get Face Unlock, so I do appreciate that we have multiple methods for accessing the phone. Now, taking a look at the camera module on the back of the device, we are getting a quad camera setup here. So there's a 64 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can take images at up to 123 degrees, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, and we do get portrait mode with both the front and rear cameras, and we get a 5 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Now here's how things look through the camera app on the device. This is with the main camera, and in general, I'm very happy with the quality from all the various cameras here in the phone. Of course, again, compared to a $1,000 smartphone, for example, the quality won't be nearly as good, but for what we are getting here, I'm certainly very happy with the quality. So this is the main camera, then from here we can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera to fit a lot more content into the frame. I certainly appreciate that we do get this, as there certainly are situations where the ultra-wide camera has a clear benefit over the regular camera, especially when traveling. That's a great time to use the ultra-wide camera. Maybe there's a building that you want to take a picture of or some cool scenery. Being able to switch to that and fit a lot more content into the frame certainly has some very clear advantages. Then from here, we can switch over to this 2x zoom. Now this phone does not have a telephoto camera, so keep that in mind. This is simply just cropping in. Then we can go over to video, which gives us the ability to take video at 4K for both the front and rear cameras. A really awesome thing as well. We can also head over to the macro mode to take close-up images using that dedicated macro camera. There's also a night mode with this device. And under this More tab, we have even more options and features. So definitely a lot here, and I do appreciate that because typically with these mid-range phones, they do kind of take out various features so that you're more tempted to pay more for a more premium phone. But in general, we do get a lot of different options here. We can also switch around to the front-facing camera and take some really clear-looking selfies. Definitely a nice, clear, high-quality front-facing camera. We can also switch over to portrait mode so we can get those nice blurred-out backgrounds that I know that everybody's a big fan of. So in general, a ton of different features as far as the cameras go with this device, and we're getting good quality cameras as well. Now with this phone, we're getting 6 gigabytes of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G processor. Now it is possible, based on the region that you buy this phone in, that you might have more or less RAM than 6 gigabytes, but at least with the model of the phone that I do have, it does feature 6 gigs of RAM. And the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G processor is actually a really decent mid-range processor, so that's certainly a nice thing to have that included here with the phone. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5 with the device, and I'll show you the scores from that test right now. But essentially, I got a single core score of 538 and a multi-core score of 1559. So these scores really don't mean anything unless you're comparing them to another device. So what I recommend doing is, with your current phone, run the same test and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not this phone is going to be a performance upgrade for you. Because it is possible that it could be slower than what you have right now, especially if maybe you have an older S-series phone and you want to switch over to this device. But again, it really just depends on what you have. Maybe the phone you have right now is dramatically slower. Not that this phone is even slow at all. So again, it just depends on what you're switching from. Now, as far as battery capacity goes, with the Galaxy A52 4G model, we're getting a 4,500 milliamp hour internal battery, and the phone also features 25 watt fast charging compatibility. So I do appreciate that we are getting a large battery here with the phone, but more importantly, we're able to recharge that battery pretty quickly. Now with this particular version of the phone, and again, this might differ based on region, we are getting NFC. So if you do like to use your device to make mobile contactless payments, then you will be able to do that here with the Galaxy A52. Another nice bonus with this phone as well is that it does feature IP67 dust and water resistance, which means that this phone can go up to 1 meter underwater for up to 30 minutes, and you won't have to worry about it being damaged. So that's certainly a nice benefit to have, especially if maybe you were using the phone while it's raining outside, then you won't have to worry at all about the phone getting damaged. But now that we've talked about a variety of the different features here with the phone, let's talk a bit more about the hardware. Now, I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here. In general, a really good looking display, and it is nice and big so that you are able to watch video content on here, go on social media, look at different articles online, for example, and you'll be able to see things nice and clearly. Now, this phone is made completely out of plastic, besides the display, which, as I mentioned earlier, is made out of Gorilla Glass 5, but we are getting a plastic band running on the sides of the phone and plastic on the back of the phone as well. Now, taking a look at the right side of the device, we have the power button, volume down and volume up. Then on the left side of the phone, we have nothing. Then up top here, we have the noise-canceling microphone, as well as the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. And then on the back of the phone, it's a pretty minimalist design in general, since we do have that fingerprint sensor built into the display here, but I'm a big fan of it. We do, of course, have that camera module with the flash, the Samsung logo, and that's essentially it. Now, I do like this kind of frosted matte finish on the back of the phone because it doesn't really pick up too many fingerprints. Of course, it does pick up a little bit, but compared to a phone that has a glossy back, for example, this really doesn't pick up anything at all. So in general, is the Samsung Galaxy A52 4G model worth buying in 2022? And in general, I would say that this phone is certainly a good choice. What I like about it is that in pretty much every category that's important, it does a good job. It has a powerful processor, it has good cameras, we're getting a lot of storage here with the phone, we're also getting a really good quality display with the device as well. So in general, it checks all the various boxes they're at least important to me. But I'm curious to know what you think. Do you think the Galaxy A52 is still worth getting in 2022? And why or why not? And if you have this phone already, how do you like it? I'm definitely curious to know what you think about the device. But this is the Samsung Galaxy A52 4G model in 2022. Hope you liked the video, and I will see you in the next one.